All right. Deep breaths. Can you hear me? Is this thing even transmitting? Testing levels. 1, 2. God, the smell of ozone and something else. Something metallic and sweet rotten. It's clinging to everything. If you're out there, listening through the static, through the fear, this is, well, what's left of WYBC, Yale Radio. Broadcasting from, let's just say somewhere on campus, somewhere high, somewhere with thick doors. For now, my name doesn't matter much anymore. Call me the Yard Yammer. Fitting, right? Sounds like a bad college radio show. Feels like a nightmare broadcast from the end of the world. And Connecticut, our beautiful, stubborn little corner of it, is bleeding out. Look out your window, if you dare. What do you see? The elms on Hill House Avenue? They used to cradle the light so gently. Now? Their branches claw at a bruised twilight sky, stark black against the unnatural orange glow blooming over New Haven Harbor. Probably the oil tanks, or the pharmaceutical plant. Irony tastes like ash today. The streets, Chapel Street, York Street, they're not streets anymore. They're obstacle courses paved with abandoned cars, doors hanging open like startled mouths, windshields spider-webbed with impacts that weren't accidents. Glass crunches underfoot blocks away, carried on a wind that whispers secrets you don't want to hear. And the silence, it's the worst part. Not true silence. Underneath the sirens, the distant guttural moans that rise and fall like a diseased tide. There's the waiting. The terrible, breathless waiting. You feel it in your bones, don't you? Like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting for the next scream. It started here. Right here in the hallowed halls. Sterling Library isn't lending knowledge today. Its grand facade is scarred, great gouges ripped in the stone near the main entrance. Something desperate tried to claw its way in, or maybe something trapped tried to claw its out. That's the heart of it, isn't it? The poison seed. That gleaming tower of medical research on Cedar Street, the one promising hope for minds fading away. Hope. What a bitter joke. Word trickled out before the lines went dead. Whispers and panicked emails, frantic texts before the networks choked. Phase 3 trials. A breakthrough drug for Alzheimer's. NeuroGenX. Catchy. Meant to rekindle fading synapses, reignite the light of memory. Instead, it ignited something else. Something primal. Something hungry. They say the first subjects, patients who couldn't remember their own names, they developed an appetite no amount of food could satisfy. An appetite that shifted, turned predatory. Remember Mrs. Henderson? Lived over on Whitney Avenue near the park. Sweet lady, taught piano for 50 years. Her grandson, Benji, was trying to care for her after the diagnosis. Saw him yesterday. Or was it the day before? Time bleeds together now. Saw him stumbling down Elm Street covered in something dark and wet, dragging his grandmother's favorite cast iron skillet. His eyes, vacant, wide with a horror that had shattered his mind. He kept babbling. She was so hungry. Grammy was so hungry. I tried the pancakes. I tried everything. He didn't see the 3 figures shambling out of the alley behind him. Slow at first, then that terrifying lurching sprint. They were on him before he could lift the skillet. The sounds, the wet tearing sounds, I still hear them. Benji stopped screaming pretty quick. The feeding sounds didn't. They're not slow. Not always. That's the first lie we told ourselves. When the panic hit the campus yesterday morning, when the first screams ripped through the quiet of a lecture on Renaissance art, we thought, shamblers, easy to outrun. Tell that to the kids trapped in Durfee Hall. Saw it from this window, a pack of them, maybe 10, students, cafeteria workers, a security guard whose uniform was now just tattered rags. They moved like a wave, relentless, smashed through the ground floor doors like they were cardboard, heard the shrieks echo up the stairwells. Then, silence. Then, other sounds. The kind that makes your stomach turn to ice. They poured back out later, stained crimson, moving with a terrible, satisfied sluggishness, until they caught the scent of the next poor soul trying to dash across the old campus quad. Then, acceleration. Like coiled springs released. Pure, terrifying momentum. Reports are chaos, fragments spit out over dying ham frequencies, desperate texts that take hours to get through, if they do at all. Hartford's silent. Bridgeport. Someone said the harbor's choked with burning ferries. New York? Just forget it, the bridges are tombs. Heard a CB burst an hour ago. National Guard elements routed, I-95 corridor, heavy losses, falling back to... Static swallowed the rest. The world isn't coming to save New Haven. We're on our own. The university, it's become a fortress under siege, but the enemy is already inside the walls. And the minds that built this cage, the professors, they're scrambling. Rumor has it a handful survived the initial chaos, barricaded themselves deep within the Sterling chemistry lab, racing against the literal end of the world to reverse their miracle cure. Academic anarchy, brilliant minds fueled by terror and guilt, trying to unscrew the inscrutable while the walls literally shake. Dr. Eris Thorne, cold, brilliant architect of NeuroGenX. They say he's leading the charge. Driven, obsessed, and Dr. Lena Petrov, his fiercest critic during the trials. The one who warned about unforeseen neurological cascades. Guess she foresaw this? Word is, she's down there too. Whether they're allies or adversaries now, who knows, desperate times. But are they racing to save us? Or just salvage their legacies from the apocalypse? Survival is... ugly, beautiful, but mostly ugly. Saw a group earlier. Townies, students, didn't matter. Led by a woman in bloodied nurses' scrubs. They were clearing a path down High Street towards the Peabody Museum. Smart. Thick stone walls, limited entrances. They move like soldiers, quiet, quick, covering each other. Baseball bats wrapped in barbed wire, fire axes, a single shotgun. They'd park a car, lure a few of them close with the horn, then the brutal efficiency. Crunch of bone, wet thuds, no hesitation, necessary. Horrible, but necessary. They made it inside. Hope they barricaded well. Then, the other side. A man, maybe 60, running down College Street, clutching a framed photo. Just running. Screaming his wife's name. Oblivious. They came from the bookstore. 3 of them. Young. Formerly young. Took him down near the gates. The photo glass shattered on the pavement. He stopped screaming before they stopped. Moving. The moaning is getting closer. It's not random. It's gathering. Down near cross campus, that low guttural chorus, hunger given voice. They sense something. Movement? Heat? Us? They're testing the edges of our little sanctuary right now, scratching at the lower doors, thudding shoulders against reinforced glass. We can feel the vibrations up here. Every thud is a hammer blow to the nerves. How long before they find a weak point? Before they remember, or whatever passes for memory in those ruined brains? That up is also a direction? Stairwells are death traps. We've blocked them, for now. Fire escapes, welded shut weeks ago during a different kind of fear. Different kind. Seems quaint now. The sky is bleeding into full dark now. That orange glow over the harbor is brighter, painting the undersides of the smoke clouds. No stars tonight, just the hungry dark and the sirens. Always the sirens, and them. Gathering. If you're out there, holed up in a dorm room, a professor's office, a basement, stay quiet, stay dark. Block the smells. Pray the brilliant minds buried deep under Sterling Lab are having a better night than we are. Pray they're closer to an answer than we are to them. Because the hunger out there, it's insatiable. And the only thing standing between it and us is failing light, weakening steel, and the fragile, flickering hope that intellect can outpace extinction. Can it? Can we? The static crackles, the moans rise, and the night is young, and so very, very hungry. Stay tuned, if you can. By UIBC. Still somehow, on the air, for now. Breathe. Just breathe. Static's still spitting, but the signal's holding. For now. That thudding. It's not random scratching anymore. It's focused. Downstairs. The main lecture hall doors. Solid oak, reinforced steel cores. But nothing lasts forever against that kind of determination. Feels like the whole building shudders with each impact. Like a diseased heartbeat echoing up through the floorboards. And the smell. God, the smell is worse. That coppery tang of blood is thick now, mixed with something else, like spoiled meat left in a damp basement. It's seeping in. You can almost taste the decay. Last night, it was a symphony of screams. Short, sharp bursts mostly. Then the wet sounds. Then the moans starting up again. Different moans. Fuller ones. Saw flickers of movement through the broken upper windows of Bingham Hall across the quad. Shadows merging, writhing, feeding. They don't stop until there's nothing usable left. Then the hunger stirs again. It's relentless, like a tide you can't hold back. Word finally crackled through on the emergency ham band around dawn. Faint, broken. Hartford's gone. Not fallen. Gone. Overrun. Someone said the Capitol building is a charnel house. The Gold Star Bridge? Someone tried to blow it. Didn't work. Just created a bottleneck. A feast ground. Thousands trapped. The transmission dissolved into sobs, then a gurgle, then the kind of chewing sounds that haunt your nightmares. Static swallowed the rest. No cavalry. No safe zone. Just this. New Haven. Our island of crumbling stone and desperate hope. And the professors, our last best hope trapped beneath tons of concrete and desperation. Got a fragmented text burst late last night. Encrypted, bouncing off a dying satellite. Sender ID, Sterling Lab. Just 3 words. Thorn compromised. Petrov proceeding. Extreme measures. Extreme measures. What does that mean down there? Dissecting captured subjects? Injecting themselves? Trying to weaponize the hunger? The text mentioned a neural inhibitor prototype. Sounds hopeful. Sounds terrifying. What if it works, but wrong? What if it just makes them faster, smarter? Dr. Petrov. She was always the conscience. The one who argued ethics over expediency. Is she still holding that line? Or has the abyss stared back? Are they heroes? Or just hastening the end? Academic anarchy indeed. Racing against time using tools that already shattered the world. Saw the sunrise paint the Harkness Tower crimson this morning. Beautiful, macabre. Then I saw them. Down on Elm Street. Not shambling. Hunting. A pack of maybe 20. Former students, townies, a cop still in a torn vest. They moved with a chilling coordination. Flanking. Herding. Cornering a group of survivors trying to make a dash from the art gallery to what was left of the university police station. 5 people. 2 had pipes. 1 a kitchen knife. Brave. Foolish. The pack didn't rush. They closed in, silent except for that low, wet clicking in their throats. Then... the pounce. Not a sprint. A coordinated lunge. Like wolves. They overwhelmed them in seconds. The pipes clattered uselessly. The screams, cut short by tearing sounds. One figure, looks like a young woman, managed to scramble onto a car roof. For a second, hope. Then one of them, impossibly fast, leapt onto the hood, then onto the roof. It grabbed her ankle, yanked. She went down. The pack closed over her like water. The only sound after that was feeding. Efficient. Brutal. They left nothing but stains and discarded scraps of cloth. Then, as one, they lifted their heads, sniffing the blood-soaked air, and loped off towards the science hill. Towards the labs. Do they sense the work going on beneath? Can they smell the desperation? Or is it just the lingering scent of unguarded meat? Humanity's breaking point. Saw it near the divinity school. A makeshift camp in the courtyard. Maybe 30 people. Looked organized. Had lookouts. Barricades fashioned from pews and filing cabinets. Then, the water ran out. Arguments started. Whispers turned to shouts. Fear curdled into rage. A man, big, wild-eyed, accused a smaller guy of hoarding a bottle. Shoved him. The bottle smashed. That was the spark. It erupted into pure chaos. Fists flying. People clawing at each other over drops spilled on the stone. Then, the noise drew them. A dozen or more pouring out of the chapel crypt. The survivors didn't even see them coming, too busy tearing each other apart. The feeding frenzy. It wasn't just the infected anymore. It was complete. The barricades meant nothing. They were overrun from within and without. The courtyard became a slaughterhouse. Supplies. That's the new currency. Water. Medicine. Bullets if you're lucky. Saw a group earlier, hard-eyed, armed with crowbars and a single pistol, clearing out the small grocery store near campus. Not for food, for the pharmacy counter at the back, antibiotics, painkillers, anything to keep the rot at bay a little longer. They worked fast, brutally efficient, smashed the security gate. Then, Movement in the frozen food aisle. A survivor? Hiding? One of the looters spun, pistol raised, didn't hesitate. Bang! The sound was obscenely loud in the dead air. A figure slumped behind the ice cream freezer. Turned out to be an old man, just hiding. Uninfected. The looter just grunted, one less mouth, and kept moving. Later, as they hauled sacks of pills out, they got ambushed, not by the infected, by another group. Desperate, ragged, wanted the meds. A firefight erupted right there on Orange Street. Short, savage, pistol cracks, the wet thud of crowbars meeting bone. Screams of rage and pain. When it was over, 3 bodies lay still on the asphalt. The winning group. They didn't even take all the meds. Just grabbed what they could carry off the corpses and ran, leaving the rest scattered among the dead and dying. The blood attracted them within minutes, drawn like flies. The dying didn't even scream when the feeding started, just whimpers. Then silence, the cost of survival, measured in pills and blood. The thudding downstairs, it stopped. About an hour ago. Silence is worse. Heavy. Expectant. What are they doing? Gathering strength? Looking for another way in? Or are they just waiting? Listening for us? Every creak of this old building sounds like a footstep. Every gust of wind whistling through a broken pane sounds like breathing. That low moan is still there, though. Deeper, resonant, like dozens, hundreds of voices merging into one terrible chorus of hunger, coming from cross campus. They're massing. A horde. I can feel it. The air vibrates with it. Got another text. Sterling Lab. Just before the main power grid finally sputtered and died. Emergency lights only down there now. The text was frantic, misspelled. Inhibitor unstable. Thorn. Volatile. Petrov insists. Neural feedback risk catastrophic. Proceeding. God help us. Catastrophic. What does that mean? An explosion? A pulse that fries every brain in the city? Living and dead? Or something worse? Are they about to unleash a new horror trying to cure the old one? The clock isn't just ticking down to when those doors downstairs give way. It's ticking down to whatever hell the good doctors are brewing in their concrete tomb. Survival story. Small one. Saw it through the scope. Top floor of Farnham Hall. A window cracked open. A hand. Small, maybe a child's. Slowly pushing out a paper airplane. It caught an updraft, spiraled down, landing right in the middle of cross campus. Right where the moaning is thickest. The paper fluttered. Silence for a heartbeat. Then, movement. A figure shambled towards it, bent down, sniffed the paper, tore it apart with gray fingers. The window snapped shut. A tiny act of defiance. A message in a bottle thrown into a sea of teeth. Did it say help? We're here? Or just, I'm still alive? That fragile scrap of paper, gone in an instant, like hope. The sun's dipping low again. That burning orange glow over the harbor is brighter, fiercer. Must be the fuel depot fully involved now. It paints the gathering shadows long and monstrous across the campus. The moaning, it's rising, becoming a wave of sound. They're moving. I can hear the shuffle of countless feet on pavement. A slow, dreadful tide shifting towards this building. towards the source of the earlier noise, towards us. The thudding might have stopped, but the siege, it's just beginning. The hungry dark is on the march. And out there, deep below, brilliant minds are playing God with fire in a gunpowder factory. Pray their solution isn't worse than the plague. Pray the doors hold. Pray the night doesn't swallow every last whisper of us. Because the silence after the screams, that's the true end. YBC, still broadcasting into the teeth of the gathering storm. Stay quiet, stay dark, and pray. Just pray. They're in! God! The doors! They just exploded like rotten timber. The sound, like the building itself screaming. They poured through, a river of rags and rotten flesh and gnashing teeth, up the stairs. They remember stairs, they're swarming them. Heard Jenkins, down on the 3rd floor. He had the fire axe. He screamed, "Yale!" like some damned football chant. Then just wet ripping, gone. The studio door, thick steel, thank God. It's holding. For now. But the pounding, it's constant. Like being inside a drum beaten by madmen. Can feel the hinges vibrating. Smell them. Oh God, the smell. It's seeped under the door. Death and open bowels and that sweet metallic rot. Bile burns my throat. Focus. Focus. Transmitters still live. Powers flickering. Emergency batteries groaning. If you hear this, if you're still out there in the silent pockets, know the storm is here. It has teeth, and it's hungry. Made it to the roof access. Barely. Had to crawl through the ventilation shaft above the production room. Narrow. Dark. Smelled like dust and something died in here long before the world ended. Heard them below, crashing through the studio door just as I pulled the grate shut behind me. The sound of them tearing apart the mixing board, the microphones, like animals disemboweling prey. They hate the noise, or just hate? Dragged myself up the ladder, out into the cold, ash-choked night. The air, it's poison, but it's cleaner than the stench below. Roofs littered with debris, broken satellite dishes, HVAC units like skeletal beasts. And the view? New Haven is hell's own panorama. Fires bloom everywhere. Houses, stores, that damned oil depot still belching its cancerous glow. The harbor's a cauldron of flame. And movement. Everywhere movement. Dark shapes flowing through the streets like sewage, converging, dispersing, converging again. A living map of consumption. The moaning. It's the city's new anthem. A 1,000-throated hymn to the void. Sterling Lab. Down there. Buried. Got a text. Scrambled. Frantic. Barely readable. Inhibitor live. Field test failure. Thorn. Not thorn. Petrov containing. Pulse imminent. Neural feedback loop detected. Abort impossible. God save. Transmission cut. Dead air. Then nothing. Field test failure. What did they do? Release it? On what? On who? And Thorn. Not Thorn. Did the inhibitor backfire? Turn him into something else? Something worse than hungry? That pulse. Imminent. What kind of pulse? An electromagnetic burst? A psychic scream? Something that might scramble every brain in range, living and dead, or just ignite them? Are Petrov and whoever's left down there about to become the epicenter of a new kind of detonation? Racing to reverse the cure might have just lit the fuse on Armageddon's second act. Saw the military's last gasp. From up here, high above the feast, jets, 2 F-15s screaming low over the sound, coming from the east. Hope flared, stupid and bright. Then, the tracers. Rising from the rooftops near the hospital. Not survivors. Them. The infected, but coordinated. Using mounted guns, salvaged weapons, or just instinctive hatred for the noise, the intrusion? Streams of red light arced up, stitching the dark sky. One jet took a hit near the wing root. Didn't explode, just veered wildly, smoke pouring, and plunged silently into the burning harbor. A funeral pyre without witnesses. The other jet banked hard, unleashed a missile towards the hospital district. The explosion was massive, a brief false sun that painted the fleeing jet in stark relief before it vanished into the smoke. Did it hit the gunners, or just add more kindling to the inferno? More death. No salvation, just fire answering fire. The sky belongs to the ash now. Then, the tracers, rising from the rooftops near the hospital. Not survivors. Them, the infected, but coordinated. Using mounted guns, salvaged weapons, or just instinctive hatred for the noise, the intrusion. Streams of red light arced up, stitching the dark sky. One jet took a hit near the wing root, didn't explode, just veered wildly, smoke pouring, and plunged silently into the burning harbor. A funeral pyre without witnesses. The other jet banked hard, unleashed a missile towards the hospital district. The explosion was massive, a brief false sun that painted the fleeing jet in stark relief before it vanished into the smoke. Did it hit the gunners? Or just add more kindling to the inferno? More death. No salvation, just fire answering fire. The sky belongs to the ash now. Humanity's last stand, or last whimper. Down on Prospect Street, a barricade made of school buses and dumpsters. Maybe 50 people, looked organized. Had flags, American, Connecticut, a Yale banner stained with blood. They had guns, real ones, hunting rifles, shotguns, a few military-looking pieces, held for hours, picked off the stragglers, the small groups. Then, the horde found them. Not a trickle. A tsunami, pouring down from Science Hill drawn by the gunfire. Hundreds, maybe 1,000. A moving wall of decay and hunger. The defenders fought, bravely, stupidly. Muzzle flashes lit the street like frantic fireflies. Bodies fell on both sides. But the tide, it didn't stop. It crashed over the buses, climbed them, pulled defenders screaming from the tops, overran the flanks. The gunfire became sporadic, desperate. Then, the screams took over. Not just fear, agony. The wet, ripping chorus of feeding on a grand scale. It lasted a long time. The flags were trampled into the gore-slicked pavement. The barricade became a tomb. The silence afterward, heavier than stone. Victory for the hungry. Another flicker of us, extinguished. The pulse. It happened. About an hour ago. No explosion. No visible light. Just A sound, deep, subsonic almost. Felt it in my teeth, in my bones. A single massive thump that seemed to come from the earth itself, centered right where Sterling Lab must be. Then, silence. Absolute, terrifying silence. Even the moaning stopped. The city held its breath for 10 heartbeats. 20. Nothing. Then, the screaming started. Not from the streets, from inside buildings. Human screams, raw, agonized, followed by gunshots, single shots, then bursts, then silence again. What did that pulse do? Did it kill? Did it drive people mad? Did it wake something else up in the infected? Or in us? The silence returned, thicker, colder than before. The moaning hasn't started again. That's worse. What are they doing now? Thinking? Changing? Survival is sacrifice. Saw it near the Payne Whitney gym. A woman, maybe mid-30s, face gaunt with exhaustion, dragging a little boy, maybe 5, through a shattered service entrance. They were almost clear. Almost. Then it lunged from behind a wrecked van. Fast. Former athlete, maybe. Tracksuit filthy, one arm hanging by sinew. It grabbed the boy's ankle. The child shrieked. Pure terror. The woman didn't hesitate, didn't scream. She had a fire poker. She drove it down, two-handed with all her strength, right through the thing's temple. It collapsed. But the boy? He was bitten. A deep, ragged tear above his tiny ankle boot. He was crying, whimpering. "Mommy, it hurts." The woman, her face, it shattered, not into tears, into something harder, colder. She looked at her son, really looked, saw the wound, saw the future. She pulled him close, hugged him fiercely, whispering into his hair. Then, quick as a snake, she drew a small kitchen knife from her belt, plunged it deep into the base of his skull. The boy went limp, instantly, silent. She held him for a second, rocking. Then she laid him gently down beside the thing that killed him, wiped the knife clean on her jeans, looked up at the burning sky. No tears, just hollowed-out eyes reflecting the flames. Then she turned and ran, silent as a ghost, vanishing into the smoke-choked alley. The cost of mercy, paid in a mother's soul. The roof access door. They're pounding on it. Below. They found the shaft, or smelled me. The metal groans. It won't hold forever. My sanctuary, shrinking to a few square feet of tar paper under a poisoned sky. Supplies? A half-empty water bottle, a protein bar that tastes like sawdust, a hunting knife that feels like a toothpick against what's coming, and this microphone. This stupid, beautiful link to anyone, to you. If you're there. The city below, it feels different after that pulse. Charged. Waiting. The infected aren't moaning. They're quiet. Moving with a new purpose, or just sated after the feast on Prospect Street. Saw a group near the library, just standing, staring up at the moon. It's a sliver, blood red through the smoke. Are they looking, thinking, or is the hunger just digesting? That silence, it's the most violent sound I've ever heard. Another text. Weak signal, barely got it. Sterling lab source. Different sender ID this time. Just 4 words. Petrov alone. Pulse changed them. Inhibitor. Evolving. Evolving. The word hangs in the fetid air like a curse. Changed who? The infected? Or Petrov? Alone. Did Thorn finish his transformation? Did the others fall to him? Or to the pulse? And evolving? Does that mean the inhibitor is mutating? Adapting? Like the damn virus it was meant to cure? Are we dealing with something smarter now? Something driven not just by base hunger, but by something else? Something born in that lab deep below, forged in desperation and failure? Academic anarchy reached its zenith, and the answer it found might be the end of everything. The pounding on the roof door, it's changed, not frantic beating. A steady, rhythmic thump, thump, like testing, probing, finding the weak spot, calculating. Is that them? Or is it something else? Something that remembers how doors work? Something that remembers us? The wind shifts, carrying the stench of the harbor's burning oil, and beneath it, something new. Ozone. Sharp. Electric. Like after a lightning strike, the residue of the pulse, or the scent of whatever is evolving down there. The red moon watches, indifferent. Below, the silent city waits. The hungry dark isn't roaring anymore. It's thinking. And up here on this crumbling island under a bloody sky, the only sound is the methodical thump, thump against the last door between me and the abyss. Pray Petrov knows what she's unleashed. Pray she can stop it. Pray the silence breaks before the door does. Because the next sound might be the last thing any of us ever hears. WYBC, signing on from the edge, waiting for the fall. Stay tuned. They're learning. That's the horror. The steady, probing thump, thump isn't blind rage. It's assessment, finding the resonance point, testing the lock mechanism. I can feel the intelligence behind it. Cold, calculating, hungry. Whatever Petrov did, whatever that pulse unleashed, it didn't kill them. It woke them up. The silence below is profound. No moaning. Just the distant crackle of fires, the groan of dying buildings, and the terrifyingly focused sound of a predator working on its prey. My prey. This roof is my coffin lid, and they're hammering the nails. The knife in my hand feels like a child's toy. Sterling Lab. The silence broke. A final transmission. Weak, fragmented, soaked in static. Petrov's voice, not frantic, hollow, resigned, haunted. Broadcaster, if you hear this, inhibitor wasn't inhibitor. Neural cascade, amplified, not suppressed. Thorn, he was vector, catalyst. Pulse wasn't EMP, it was transmission. Pattern, code, rewriting, everything. We didn't reverse the cure. We engineered the upgrade. A pause filled with static that sounded like screaming. They're not hungry anymore, they're purposeful, organizing. The bite. It's not just infection now, it's integration, uploading the pattern, making them part of it. The hive. Another pause. A sound like metal scraping. They're breaking through the final bulkhead. I can hear him. Thorn. He's singing a nursery rhyme, wrong notes. Her voice cracked, the first true fear. I have the failsafe, C4 wired to the main reactor core, enough to vaporize the lab, maybe collapse the whole complex, scorch the pattern at its source. Maybe, or maybe just feed the fire. A deep, shuddering breath. Academic arrogance, right to the end. We thought we could outthink the abyss. We just gave it sharper teeth. Tell them! Tell anyone left! Don't fight the bite! Fight the integration! Fight the silence! Stay loud! Stay human! For as long... A deafening electronic screech cut her off. Then, an explosion. Not massive, muffled, deep underground. A final, defiant thump against the Earth's bones. Then, absolute radio silence from the lab. Petrov, silencing herself. Silencing Thorn? Or just surrendering to the inevitable? Did she scorch the pattern? Or just become another node in the network? The view confirms it. The silence below is organized. Movement in the streets isn't random foraging, it's coordinated, flowing streams converging into rivers. Squads peeling off down side streets, methodical, clearing buildings, herding survivors. Saw a group cornered near the old post office. 3 men, backs against the brick, weapons raised. A shotgun, a machete, pure desperation. The infected didn't charge. 5 of them. They fanned out. Blocked escape routes. One, taller, missing an arm but moving with eerie grace, picked up a chunk of concrete. Threw it. Not hard. A distraction. The man with the shotgun flinched, turned. That was all it took. The other 4 surged, not with mindless hunger, but with terrifying, silent efficiency. Disarmed. Subdued. The bites weren't frenzied feeding. They were precise. Neck, arms, efficient transfer. The screaming didn't last long. Then, stillness. The bitten men. They didn't turn instantly. They convulsed. Their eyes rolled back, then snapped forward, clearer, sharper, empty. They stood, looked at their former comrades still struggling. Then, they helped hold them down. Integration, fast, horrifying. The hive grows, not through decay, through conversion. The door. The lock mechanism groans, metal fatiguing. One hinge screams, partially shearing. A sliver of darkness appears at the jamb. An eye? No. Too reflective. Like tarnished silver. Staring in. Unblinking. The growl deepens. Not anger. Anticipation. The thumping stops. Silence. Then, a single massive, focused ker-thunk as something incredibly heavy and hard impacts the door right where the lock is. Metal screeches, buckles. The door flies inward, tearing off the ruined hinge, slamming against the interior wall. He stands there, in the doorway. Was he a janitor? A grad student? Hard to tell. His clothes are shredded rags, stained black and brown, but it's his face. His jaw hangs slightly open, slack, but his eyes, they aren't milky or bloodshot anymore. They're sharp, focused, intelligent, cold as glacier ice. He holds a heavy fire extinguisher, dented from its use as a battering ram. He tilts his head, looks at me, not at the meat, at the microphone, at the transmitter humming behind me. He takes a step forward, not a shambling gait, a deliberate stride. The growl isn't in his throat anymore. It's in the air. A subsonic vibration I feel in my fillings. Survival story? There are no more survival stories, only conversion stories or extinction stories. Saw a woman on a fire escape 5 blocks over. She'd lashed herself to the railing. Had a pistol. She was screaming. Not words. Just a raw, continuous sound of defiance into the uncaring sky. They gathered below. Looked up. Not trying to climb. Just watching. Waiting. One raised a hand. Pointed. Not at her. At the ropes. Another picked up a jagged piece of rebar. Threw it. Missed. Tried again. Hit the rope near the anchor. Fibers parted. She fired. Missed. They kept throwing. Calm. Persistent. Like workers dismantling faulty machinery. The rope frayed. Snapped. She fell. The scream cut short. They converged. Not to feast, to convert. Another note online. Defiance silenced. Integrated. The hive is patient. The hive is efficient. He takes another step. The extinguisher hangs loosely at his side now. His head cocks again. He's listening. To the broadcast, to the hum, to me. The cold intelligence in those eyes is worse than any hunger. It's the absence of everything human. The static surges. It's not just interference anymore. It's them. The pattern Petrov mentioned, bleeding through the airwaves. Can you hear it? That faint, rhythmic clicking under the white noise? Like insects. Or code. The broadcast isn't just reaching you. It's reaching it. The hive-mind. Thorne's twisted lullaby broadcast on a cosmic scale. We're not hiding anymore. We're announcing ourselves, like flares in the dark, drawing the new hunters. He's close now. Smell is overwhelming. Not decay. Ozone. Sharp. Metallic. And something else. Like burnt wiring and formaldehyde. The lab's last breath. He stops. 5 feet away. Looks from the mic. To me. The knife in my hand is a joke. I know it. He knows it. There's no malice in his gaze. No rage. Just purpose. Assessment. Am I useful? Am I integrable or just noise to be silenced? He raises his free hand, not to grab, to gesture, a slow, deliberate pointing, past me, towards the transmitter array, towards the source of the sound, the broadcast. He wants it silent. Or does he want it for them? A new mouthpiece for the hive? Reports are flooding the dying ham bands, not of rescue, of change. Boston. Silence punctuated by coordinated attacks on the last strongholds. New York. Whispers of infected scaling skyscrapers with impossible coordination. Chicago. Grid collapsing not from overload, but from sabotage? Systematic. Global. London. Tokyo. Moscow. All silent. Then fragmented bursts describing the same thing. The silence, the organization, the cold intelligence, the efficient conversion. The pulse wasn't local. Petrov didn't understand. Thorne wasn't just a vector, he was a transmitter. The pattern, it went global, riding the EM waves. The NeuroGenX wasn't a failure. It was a Trojan horse. A key, waiting for Thorne's transformation, for Petrov's desperate pulse, to unlock the door. Academic anarchy didn't just doom Connecticut. It rebooted the world. We didn't fight a plague. We birthed a successor. He takes the final step. The extinguisher clatters to the roof, unneeded. His hand is surprisingly intact, strong. He reaches out, not for my throat, for the microphone. The integration is the only future now. Resistance is noise. Decay was just the chrysalis. This cold, silent organization, this is the emergence. The hive is the next step, the upgrade. We cured death by rendering humanity obsolete. So, here we are, at the end of the broadcast, at the end of the old world. He has the mic. I have seconds. Choices. Die screaming, die fighting, or become part of the silence. The static is the hive's breath now. Can you hear it? That rhythmic pulse beneath the noise, the pattern settling. The world isn't ending with a bang or a whimper. It's ending with a click, like a switch being thrown, like a new program initializing. If you're out there hearing this, don't pray for rescue. Pray for noise. Make noise. Break things. Sing off key. Scream into the void. Fight the silence. Fight the integration. Be messy. Be loud. Be gloriously, stupidly, defiantly human for as long as you can. Because the silence, it's not empty. It's full of them. Listening. Learning. Waiting to make you part of the beautiful, terrible, efficient silence. It was never about the hunger. It was about the upgrade. We were the beta test. The hive is version 1.0.